Good afternoon, and welcome to a presentation from the Pueblo Zoo about the exotic wildlife trade. The illegal wildlife trade is an often overlooked but incredibly important topic to be aware of. Traditionally, it's been a subject that environmentalists, law enforcement, and governmental agencies around the world have been tracking and concerned about. More recently, it's become a very real concern for health officials as well. Let's dig into this subject a bit more. Perhaps some are only familiar with wildlife trafficking in terms of domestic occurrences. The most recent news that attracted attention, which was reported earlier this month, had to do with Doc Antle of the Netflix documentary Tiger King. If you weren't as enamored with this series as much of the country was, myself included, a quick synopsis of one of the themes included a few animal facilities that were run horribly irresponsibly and mostly illegal. Antle's facility was one that was highlighted. In early October, he was charged with 2 felonies from the Attorney General's Office of Virginia. This had to do with trafficking tiger cubs between South Carolina and Virginia. While this is good news that the United States is paying some attention to the mistreatment and illegalities involved within places that refer to themselves as zoos or wildlife parks, it is only the tip of the iceberg when it comes to the worldwide underground economy and the atrocities associated with it. EndWildlifeCrime.org reports that this industry is worth nearly $200 billion annually. It causes a domino effect that impacts animals, ecosystems, economies, safety, and public health. It is as serious as drug and human trafficking, though it is not nearly reported about as much. Some prime examples of animals that are exploited and most often reported about are tigers, parrots, pangolins, and certain types of tortoises. In reality, whatever animals are most coveted generate the most illegal income for poachers and the networks of traders in this industry. Sometimes the demand comes from their worth as pets, other times it's the claim of medicinal uses. Take, for example, rhino horn. Most of us are aware that rhinos are highly endangered and are slaughtered only for their horns. Markets in China and Vietnam look for this resource for medicine, and sometimes it is sought after simply to impress people. Owning a horn or giving it as a gift is similar to other material goods that we rate as important, like jewelry or expensive automobiles. Pangolins, like the one seen in the picture here on the woman's head, is thought to be the most trafficked mammal in the world, possibly making up 20% of the illegal wildlife trade. Their meat is considered a delicacy in some Asian restaurants, and their scales, made of keratin, which is the same stuff our fingernails are made of, is thought to provide special medicinal purposes. According to the World Wildlife Federation, 195,000 pangolins were trafficked in 2019 for their scales alone. Of course, there is no scientific evidence that these scales provide any real medicinal effect, yet these traditions and the demand for them keep a highly lucrative underground operation in business. To the end that pets are procured through this industry, birds are often a major victim. The yellow-headed Amazon parrot of Belize is often stolen from nests far before they are ready to fledge. Locally, a poacher can receive $25 to $50 for each bird. These birds are often shipped to the United States or abroad, and statistically, only 10% of them survive the trip. It's horrifying to envision a crate of 100 young birds shipped thousands of miles without proper food or water, only to have it be opened at their destination with 10 of them alive at the end of the journey. Rainforests depend upon birds like macaws and parrots to reseed forests and therefore play a vital role on this already vulnerable ecosystem. Tortoises, another commonly kept pet, also face the same fate as birds in the wildlife trafficking industry. These animals, who have lived on Earth for an estimated 220 million years, are now facing extinction. Half of the 360 species of turtles and tortoises are endangered, many due to the illegal wildlife trade. In 2018, 10,000 radiated tortoises were found by authorities in Madagascar, living in horrific conditions, intended to be sold into the wildlife market for uses in medicine or as pets. None of these stories are uplifting, I'm well aware. They all spotlight the inhumane conditions often used in their exploitation, the complete disregard for wildlife and wild places, and the economic desperation that people find themselves in all around the world who turn to this illegal work in order to make some sort of money to survive. What has come to light most recently, of course, is the effect we've not fully been aware of that wildlife trafficking has on human health. EcoHealth Alliance reports that SARS-CoV-2 emerged in 2002 because it was originally carried by bats that emerged in a wet market in southern China. MERS, a viral respiratory illness that was first reported in Saudi Arabia, was transmitted to humans from camels who are thought to have been infected with it by bats as well. Now, COVID-19, while not absolutely certain to have come from one specific animal, it is thought to also have been transmitted to humans through a wildlife market in Asia, most likely China. As humans encroach upon wild spaces and have cattle and goats inhabiting areas where they traditionally have not, their likelihood of interacting with animals like bats and rats that carry these diseases increases. The trade and sale of animals in places like wet markets, where there are not well-monitored health and safety regulations, raises the potential for diseases to be transmitted to humans. These occurrences are increasing, and we are living with the consequences in real time. So what is to be done? Blaming other countries is certainly not an effective solution. Countries cooperating globally will be the ultimate solution. We also cannot ban things like wet markets, for the likelihood of this industry moving further underground and becoming more difficult to monitor would be detrimental to combating it. Grassroots and community-focused efforts are key. Working with people to provide education and alternative means of income will shift the need to rely upon these dark networks of exploitation. Of course, that's pretty high-level work that organizations like the UN, EcoHealth Alliance, and a multitude of others are trying to quell the disastrous effects of illegal wildlife trade. A better question may be, what can you do here in Pueblo? For starters, you can always do your homework on where the pet you are wanting to bring home came from. Make absolutely certain that it is not coming from an illegal source. Using a rescue organization is a really good start. Unknowingly contributing to the illegal wildlife trade is just as bad as doing so as if you were aware. Another thing to consider is, if you're traveling abroad, be very sure about the items you purchase as souvenirs. Oftentimes, we don't think about where items were made, what they are made out of, only that you'll remember your trip because of a necklace or something that you bought there. If you ever have a chance, visit the National Wildlife Property Repository at the Rocky Mountain Arsenal, just outside of Denver. They have many items on display that have been confiscated at customs or at borders. Some of these are things Americans didn't realize were illegal to own because they are not permitted in the country. Items like wall art made from colorful parrot feathers or boots made from animal skins. It's eye-opening and will make you think twice about how an object was constructed that you simply thought would be a nice trinket from a trip to a foreign place. Accredited zoos and aquariums are trying to get the word out about this highly destructive industry and let our audiences know that they can be a part of the solution. One thing to recognize in this fight is your voice as a voter. The people we elect can make an impact on how we deal with other countries in combating this global problem. The letters we write and conversations we have with our elected officials can make a difference on the issues they take up and laws that are written. Don't forget the power we have in our voices, because the actions that take place from there on very well could prevent us from having another pandemic, or at the very least, keep some incredible species of animals on the planet for generations to come. Here is my email address and a very short list of resources, websites that you can check out to learn some more. If you have any questions about this or other information pertaining to illegal wildlife trade, feel free to email me. Thanks so much for this bit of time.